many athletes, teamwork is something that takes time to build. For many of them, they've learned this lesson on the field or the court. But for these four young women, teamwork is something that comes naturally. Here's an inside look at the women's softball and lacrosse teams. If you could each choose two words to describe your relationship with one another, what would they be?
Encouragement. We encourage each other, and we're always supportive of each other too. We always are backing each other up. We're always there to be for each other. If she does something bad, I want to be the first person to pick her up. Even it's not just with softball, but it's with life. We've never been on a different team than each other, so we're just used to being around each other, and she's always been there.
I would say honesty. We don't mess around with each other. If we think something's up, we'll tell each other. I think that's the best way. We trust each other.
You mentioned that you girls have never played separately, always been on the same team. Looking back, in what ways has your relationship matured on the field?
I just think that because we've never been on the same team, I don't know, some people be like, oh, what if you weren't with her? What I can't answer that. What if you didn't have a twin, or do you like having a twin? I can't answer that because I don't know what it's like not to have a twin. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's like not to have her there. So it's just in my mind, she's always there. So it's just matured because we've just grown to learn each other's strengths, learn each other's weaknesses, and know that if I say something to her, she's not going to take it offensively. She's not going to get mad at what I say. She's just going to forget it, or she's going to grow from it, or use it as a positive or motivation to do something better.
You go to the grocery store, and the first thing, someone asks you, the clerk asks you, are you twins? You say yes, and then they say, do you like being a twin? And our response is, we don't know what it's like not to be a twin.
Kirsten, I'm going to ask you a question about Kaylee. She had a major transition. She went from being a pitcher to being in the infield. What do you admire the most about the way that she mentally approached that and the way that she handled that change?
A pitcher is completely different than a base player or any other position, because even, a pitcher, you're in there and you're throwing the ball, but yet you're not really, you're not completely into the game because everyone else is doing the work for you, but you're just in there throwing it. And now I think she sees, how hard she actually has to work and how hard, I had to work when she was pitching because, we're just backing her up. So I think she matured very well. I know she saves my butt all the time with my bad throws and everything. So I think I trust her over there, and I think most of the team does too.
Kaylee, when we first spoke, you touched on the fact that people have always kind of compared you to Kirsten. That's hard for any sibling, especially when you play on the same team and you're always kind of set up against one another. How do you put a positive spin on comparison?
See, a lot of people are this morning, for instance, someone walked up to me in one of my classes and was like, congratulations on being Athlete of the Week. I said, thanks. She's Athlete of the Week. But sometimes it's just I don't want to explain that I'm a twin. And usually if I I have an identical twin sister, they're like, no, you don't. But really I do. So it's just I don't look at it as a jealousy issue at all. I look at it as I'm proud of her because she does something, she does all these great things. That's reflecting our family. So I just look at everything just to grow from it and use it as encouragement to do better and know that she's so successful, you know what I mean? So I learn from her.
What do you each admire about one another, not just as sisters, but as players looking at each other's game? What would you say are your strengths?
I think Kaylee's is, you will hear her whether we're in the gym or outside. She's the first voice you hear. Someone makes a mistake, she's the first one to tell you to pick your head up. And I think that's, her best attribute.
As freshmen, you girls were a part of a championship-winning team. Now you're sophomores, and it's a whole new season, different ball game. But what would you say are your personal goals for this season?
There's no doubt about it. That was the best weekend. We played all these sports in high school. We played soccer. We played all these. And to have a weekend like that, to see Dad's face when, we were holding the trophy is just the best feeling in the world because, we play for our team, we play for everyone else, but, just to see my dad's face and, me and my sister, he was, so proud of us. So I think it was, to win a championship again would just, in the next 3 years, would just be unbelievable.
All right, well, thank you, girls, and I wish you the best of luck this season. I'm here with Brittany Nagowski and Alyssa Van Dermy from the women's lacrosse team. Welcome, girls.
Hi.
Brittany, what's the most difficult part about the transition from playing with your sister after so many years to now being on campus and on the field without her?
It was difficult at first. I mean, from playing everything together since we were little all the way to now, it was hard, but we adapt.
Alyssa, how about you? How has the degrees of separation been difficult on you, and how have you dealt with that?
It was pretty difficult, but it was actually a refreshing change because we did play every sport together, and when we came to college we were in different places, so separating ourselves from sports was a way of meeting new friends and not always relying on each other.
That's a really good point, Alyssa. Comparison for any sibling is difficult to deal with, whether you're a twin or not. How have you dealt with that, and how have you found a motivating factor on the field without your sister there to share the limelight with you?
We find lots of ways. Everyone on the team, we push each other every day, from defenders pushing each other to defenders pushing offenders and vice versa. So we really have a great group of girls that we're all such good friends that we find ways to be friendly, competitive.
It's the same thing. We're all friends on and off the field. We work each other hard.
Playing a team sport can be really challenging, but for you girls, as twins, do you find that that has helped you mentally on the field connect with the rest of your teammates and one another?
You learn to use each other. Like, it's not all just about you. You learn, you can't just run the ball up the field. You have to pass it a couple times and get everyone involved.
Yeah, just like with a twin, it's about sharing the spotlight, and certain people have better days, so they shine more on certain days than others. So.
Awesome. I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. Well, here's to getting to know your Bengals. That's it for this feature of Bengal Magazine. Tom, now back to you. Thank you, Tom. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another segment of Chalk Talk. I'm Lizzie Lewin. It's that time of year again. I know you guys are all excited. Basketball season is here. I'm joined with none other than women's head basketball coach, Sue Rourke. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So today we're going to talk defense and offense. You brought some plays with you. We're going to dissect a little defense as far as a trap defensive move, and then we're also going to talk offense. We're going to look at a high to low, post to post offensive play. So let's start off with the D. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the trap, what we're looking for, positioning, footwork, execution, timing. Tell me a little bit about that and how you as a coach set that up for your players.
Okay. What we're going to show is a full court man-to-man trap. And it serves two purposes for us. We're really looking to generate some turnovers from the other team in that, and it can also serve as a means to speed up the tempo of the game as well.
So footwork, I mean, when you're talking trap, you're talking containing the ball. So that's really key, wouldn't you say?
Yes, you're trying to push the ball into certain areas, and then have your players, close out and cut away the sideline and close that trap up.
Well, that sounds good. Let's take a look at that on video, shall we?
Okay, in this first clip, we're going to be pretty aggressive, and we're going to trap the very first pass from the inbounder right here. Our guard's responsibility is to take away the sideline in that, and our inbounder's responsibility is to close that trap. You see their footwork is pretty good positioning, that they're pretty tight and they're toe-to-toe with that. But what we get in a little bit of trouble with here was our hand positioning. So we're going to go ahead and reach at the ball instead of being straight up, and right there get called for the foul in that particular play.
Yeah, I did notice, I mean, while their footwork was boxing her in, at the same time you got to focus on your hands. You could get called for that reaching quite easily with that play that I saw there. All right, so we got another play. Let's run that play.
Okay, we're still looking at full court man-to-man pressure. In this particular one, they're going to go ahead. We almost get the steal right here off the inbound pass itself. But now our guard's job is to go ahead and cut off the sideline, which she's going to do right after half court here, and our inbounder is going to close that trap. This is an ideal spot on the floor for a trap to occur because you're utilizing both the sideline and the half court line as extra defenders because a player can't go back over that line. This play also demonstrates what our other defensive players' responsibilities are. You're going to see our guard here, her responsibility is to be in the middle of the floor, and she's going to end up getting the steal right here as this play continues.
Something I really noticed about this, between these three defenders we have here, there's key communication. You've got the girl in front, you've got the girl behind, you've got the girl mid-center court, and they all contribute to the execution of this one trap play. So that was done quite nicely, if I do say so myself. All right, so let's talk a little offense. High-low post. What are we talking here? What does high-low mean?
Okay, it means basically your pass is coming from the high post position into one low post player. So you're really having 4 players on the perimeter with 1 down low.
Okay, got some footage. Let's roll that.
Okay, in this particular clip, we're going to be running our triangle offense. It's a very common, popular offense to run. Again, you're going to see us, we're going to go the entry pass here to the wing and then we're going to have our low post player is going to rise up and be above the 3-point line right here at the top of the key. So right now you're looking at the 4 players on the perimeter and the 1 post in. And as this pass comes from the wing to the top, you're going to freeze it right here.
So real quickly, Coach, I just noticed we just had somebody move to the top of the key. So there was 2 down low, 3 at the top of the arc, that moved to 4 at the top of the arc, 1 down low.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you're going to see our low post player's responsibility right now is to really seal that defender on her hip. So she's doing a good job there being physical. And then you're going to see our pass come from over the top position. And we're going to have
Real
a nice
key moment
catch.
right there. You want to really get that pass over top, set it up nicely down low so we can ultimately get a bucket, which I think we just saw.
Yes.
All right. So we got another clip here, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's the same concept with the high-low action.
Okay.
Again, it's going to be out of the triangle offense for us.
All right.
So we're going to go ahead and bring the ball up court here. And she's going to go ahead and she'll do an entry pass to our wing player.
On the hip. Okay.
And then our point guard will cut through to the corner. All right, and now here's where we go with our other post rising up to the 3-point line. Okay. Now this pass comes from a little bit different angle. It comes, from the wing player. But again, it's the same concept that we have 4 on the perimeter. Our 1 post is down low, and again, she's doing a nice job sealing her on her hip. And we got the lob pass coming over the top. The key here is there's really no help side defenders because of having the 4 players out on the perimeter.
Very nicely done. So, Coach, if you could just sum up for me really quickly the 2 things that we've been talking about, the 2 most important things to execute a defensive trap and the 2 most important things to execute an offensive high-to-low, post-to-post play. Could you just quickly list those for me?
Yeah, I think in the trap, a lot of it is about the angles, like you're cutting off the sideline and filling that trap position with your inbounder in that. And then also your other defenders rotating as necessary. Those are both 2 definitely key things in the full court trap. And then in the high-low action, a lot of it is your post player being physical down low in order to be able to seal her defensive player. And then also the quality of the pass. I mean, that's a pretty tough pass to make. You got to lob it over the defender, but also make it catchable for the offensive player.
And for both of these, something that I saw was a lot of communication, a lot of good footwork, knowing your body, knowing how to move that, and really working as a team, which is something that was fluid, whether you're D or offense.
Yeah, and that's always key in basketball. Is teamwork is essential, whether you're on the defensive end or offensive end of the floor.
Well, Coach, I hear you got a game coming up on Friday. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this segment of Chalk Talk. Tune in next time, everybody. Back to you, Tom.
With fall in full swing, the Buffalo State Bengals are staying busy as they gear up for yet another competitive season with the addition of some new names on the rosters. For this feature of Bengal Magazine, I'll be joined by head women's volleyball coach Jen Breyer and freshman starter Mary Naboy. This compelling interview captures the story of a young woman originally from Kenya whose childhood experiences and love for the sport of volleyball have helped mold her into the diligent, disciplined athlete that she is today. Kenya, a country located in East Africa, sits alongside the Indian Ocean. Geographically, it is bordered by Somalia to the northeast, Ethiopia to the north, Sudan to the northwest, and Tanzania to the south. It is the 47th largest country in the world, after Madagascar. Named after its token landmark, Mount Kenya, whose peak ranks among the 2nd highest throughout the continent of Africa, the name Kenya means place with ostriches and is a direct tribute to the peak, as it resembles the white tail feathers of the male ostrich during the months of snowfall. With a population of nearly 39 million people, the country is immensely diverse and houses more than 40 different ethnic groups. Nairobi, the 13th largest city in Africa and capital of Kenya, is now one of the most significant cities in Africa. Dubbed East Africa's sporting center, Nairobi is home to many national stadiums and supports the nation's #1 sport, soccer. I'm joined now by freshman outside hitter on the women's volleyball team, Mary Naboy. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
I'm personally moved by your story. You're originally from Kenya and you were brought up in foster care for most of your life, as you explained to me, and you moved to this country at the age of 11. When I see you, I see the spirit of a fighter. How did you push yourself and find the strength during that time?
My sister, she helped me a lot. and I came here with her. Cause like that was the only person that I really knew my whole life, so I looked up to her.
Mary is awesome. She is a very hard worker. She never questions you, and she's an outstanding athlete. Comes into practice with a positive attitude every day, ready to work hard, and make adjustments.
You know, in Africa, the #1 sport is football, or as we call it here in America, soccer. And the other sport that you had experienced was cross country. And yet when you came here, you tried every sport out that you possibly could. How different is it for you to be in a country where sports is really everything?
When I moved here, I didn't really know anything. I did cross country like in 7th grade and soccer, and then I started playing volleyball 8th grade, my 8th grade year, and I fell in love with it. I basically played every single sport, but volleyball, I sticked with it like till now.
Your sister introduced you to the sport of volleyball in 8th grade, and ever since then, you've just developed this passion and love for it. You mentioned that you participated in some pre-collegiate programs. How did those programs help enhance your game?
I got introduced by my foster sister. She's like, yo, you're gonna love volleyball and all that. I was like, okay, let me take a shot. And I did. I fell in love with it, and I'm playing in college.
She came in with a very good, strong level of talent when she first started with us. And she did have some things that she needed to work on, especially the main thing being her elbow. So once we tweaked that, at the end of preseason, we had told her originally she came on as our #2, possibly #3 outside hitter. She worked her butt off, and now she's one of our starters on the outside.
I went to Syracuse University camp and Cornell. They taught me so much, especially passing, which I'm working on it still. They taught me about hitting, and my coach, Briar, she helped me my reaching part, and I'm getting better at it, and I like it.
Now, your experience in high school playing the sport is significantly different than your experience here in college. One of the major differences are coaching styles. In high school, you mentioned that nobody really guided you. You just kind of went in rotation. And here, Coach Breyer is all about teamwork and all about instructing you guys, you know, every day and teaching you different techniques. How has that helped you?
She helps her teammates, she helps my team, and she's a great coach.
Well, we're in our 3rd year now with this coaching staff, and we're in a transition of change, as you said. We're changing the culture of Buffalo State. We're teaching our athletes to win, which is a very difficult thing to have to overcome in a program that's mostly used to being a losing program. So that's a huge obstacle to overcome, and these girls have just taken that on full stream.
I find it very inspiring that your mentor is your teammate. You know, Sherelle McLean, a sophomore middle, only 1 grade above you, and yet she's really helped you both on the court and off the court. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship?
Every single time when I mess up, when I play volleyball, she's like, just stay low and pass. Like she teaches me how, like, the right way, and I do it the right way, the way she's taught me. So I just do it, and she supports me, especially in my studying. I ask her questions. I thought that was really good. She's like my other big sister.
Mary's just been one of those freshmen who's come in automatically on the same page with the coaching staff, ready to work hard and ready to begin with that end goal in mind, which ultimately this year is SUNYAC playoffs. Right now we finished this past weekend 2-2 in SUNYACs, which places us 3rd in the West, which is right on par for playoffs, which is our ultimate goal. In the long run, you're going to look at Buffalo State as being a contender, and we're going to be giving teams a fight no matter what.
Well, here's to getting to know your Buffalo State Bengals. Join me again in 2 weeks as I take a trip down the track with the cross-country team. I'm Elizabeth Lewin. Tom, now back to you.
Imagine moving from California to Reno, Nevada, to Oregon, to Sioux Lookout, Ontario, and finally landing in Buffalo, New York, all by the age of 21. Well, for freshman defenseman Clayton Lewis, life has certainly been a roller coaster ride, one that is far from over. So you started playing street hockey when you were around 7 years old. What's your fondest memory, you know, growing up as a little kid playing hockey?
You know, basically just, you know, tilting the recycling bin over and, you know, crushing like soda cans and playing on the cul-de-sac, just, you know, playing like 3-on-3 or 4-on-4. Sometimes we get nets and, you know, sometimes we get goalies, but, you know, those are my fondest memories of playing street hockey.
You know, you've been fortunate enough to be able to play on the East Coast and on the West Coast. Talk a little bit about the difference in ice hockey culture, if you will.
It's a lot bigger out here. Like there's probably like a rink every 10 to 15 minutes. Where I'm from, the closest rink is an hour away. Actually, in my town, there's not even a rink at all. So hockey's not really a main priority out where I'm from in Reno, Nevada. So, but out here, it's you know, kind of like a way of life.
You know, when we first started speaking, you kind of took me around the world with you, talking about all the different places that you've moved to and you've played in, and you said, you know, different places, different styles of play. How has playing in different places enhanced your technique?
Well, I'd say, it basically, seeing different types of hockey, kind of enables me to, incorporate these different styles into my game. So like every year I'm seeing different types of styles, so every year I can add a different type of style to my game to make me like a better hockey player.
Clay was playing up in the Sioux Lookout, which is probably about a 20-hour drive north of Toronto. So that's a different kind of a place to play hockey, and especially from a guy all the way from Reno.
Growing up, did you ever feel like an outsider in your own sport, so to speak? From a layperson's point of view, hockey is interpreted as being a white sport. For a majority of people, minorities aren't really seen playing this sport. However, that's changing. Do you remember any of your memories growing up playing this sport and feeling that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, most black kids, around my way, they're usually playing basketball or football or even baseball. On the ice, occasionally, the odd time, you'll hear the racial slur, somebody, calling me out on it. But, it's just something you just kind of have to deal with, as you're coming up. And, if anything, it just makes you stronger as a person.
Honestly, the color of the skin doesn't matter at all. There's just not a lot of black hockey players out there as you go and watch games. But as you go through and you watch more hockey, I think you start seeing it more and more. And I think it's just hockey's becoming available to more and more people out there all over the place.
Do you favor playing D? Most of your career you've been a defenseman. So talk a little bit about where you see yourself fitting in on this team, even though you've played offense. Do you mainly see yourself, backing up the D?
Yeah, absolutely. I can see myself clearing the front of the net so the goalie can see shots. I see myself making good passes when I get the puck. I see myself, playing good gaps and, standing guys up at the blue line, as the season, goes along. So. Well,
Clay's been, he's been pretty good in game situations. That's something that Coach Oliveto, who handles the defenseman for the most part, Clay's been good at. Once we get into a 5-on-5 situation or a competition, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, Clay does a nice job of knowing where he is on the ice and having a stick on the puck defensively and just being a good stay-at-home kind of physical defender.
In the history of this team, you're the second black player to be on the ice in 17 years. So for Bengal hockey, I think that's saying a great deal. And, in talking with your coach earlier, he talked about wanting to improve that. But I'm just curious, when you lace up the skates, do you ever think about, wow, my position on this team is kind of significant?
I mean, if me playing on this team can influence, a whole lot of, other, African-American children to, participate in ice hockey, and, I feel good about that at the end of the day.
Recruiting is the lifeblood of what we do here. On any given night, we're out watching games anywhere from out in Montana to up in northern Ontario to Quebec to Massachusetts. We're all over the place, and really we're just looking for fine character young men that can obviously play the game and be good academic students here at Buffalo State College.
If there were two guys, in the NHL who you admire, whether it be because of who they are as individuals or their style of play, who would that be?
Right now I'd have to say PK Subban, Montreal Canadiens, won a World Juniors with Team Canada, as well as older guys like Nicholas Lindstrom for the Detroit Red Wings. Those guys are really good hockey players.
So where would you like to see yourself at the end of the day in 3 years? What does Clay Lewis want to be remembered for as a member of the Bengals hockey team?
Honestly, in 3 years, I'd like to be remembered as being a contributor of this organization winning a SUNYAC championship and possibly playing in the NCAA tournament. So that's something that I would like to accomplish, and hopefully all the other guys in the locker room want to do the same thing. So.
All right, well, I wish you the best of luck this season and your next 3 seasons, and thank you for joining me, Clay.
Thanks a lot.
Well, here's to getting to know your Bengals. Thanks for joining me for this feature of Bengal Magazine. Join me right here in 2 weeks as I get to know the women's hockey team. Take care, everyone.
The 2010 spring season is officially underway here at Buffalo State as the Bengals suit up for another round of practices and competitions. Here's a closer look inside the world of men and women's track and field. I'm joined now by Coach Eugene Lewis, the head coach of men and women's track and field. Welcome, Coach. When you and I were talking, we spoke a little bit about the importance of assessing talent, you know, when you're going into a new season. From a coaching perspective, where do you start?
Well, actually what we do in our process, particularly for our relays, is we look for individuals who have sprint talent in the individual sprint races. So for example, in indoor track, you're looking at 55 meters, 200 meter sprinters. And obviously as you transition in outdoor, the kids will run between 100 meters all the way up to 400 meters. So what we're looking for is individuals who do extremely well in the individual sprints, and then we try to bring them together collectively.
How do you hone in on those individual strengths and weaknesses and then take that into a group setting and apply that?
Well, what we look for is obviously, once you have the individual talent, we look for your ability to work as a team or as a unit. So team chemistry or a relay team chemistry is fairly important in terms of timing and trust and things of that sort. So what we look for is individuals who are trustworthy, responsible, that type of mentality, because again, you have to trust one another in the exchange of the baton. And you also have to trust the fact that your teammate is going to do their job when they're given the baton. So we look for people who work well together as a group collectively.
And I've spoke with many coaches about the importance of communication both on and off the field or the court. For any sport, how do you instill and relay that message to your students?
Well, what we do, particularly in certain races or certain events, we use cue words or cue terms, and those words or terms are thoroughly explained to our athletes. So within, you know, a one syllable or one phrase, you can get the attention of the athlete and make the necessary adjustments. Sometimes in a particular race, most athletes can block out sound, can block out everything that's around them, but they can always hear that cue word that lets them know that they need to do something in terms of their stride pattern or their arm swing or anything that will allow them to sprint better.
So where are the Bengals now? You know, from your point of view, where are they and where do you want to see them go in this 2010 spring season?
Well, what we're looking forward to is, you know, traditionally we have been very good in the sprints. We've recruited some very good incoming freshmen who will contribute to the program, and our expectations are the same. You know, our plan is to be one of the best sprint schools in the country, and I think we're on that path.
I'm joined now by Coach Marcus Allen, who's the sprint and relay coach. Hi, Coach.
How you doing today?
So we were talking a little bit about formulating a good relay, what goes into it, from the runners to the talent to the actual baton exchange itself. Can you talk a little bit about that, and then maybe we can see it?
That sounds like a plan. Basically, what we try to do is we try to get our most talented kids. We get our, get our 4 best quarter milers. This is the first relay pass I'm going to show you is a 4x4 pass. And what we try to do is we try to set them up in a situation where they get the batons, and it's kind of like a clean exchange. It'll be like an open hand. So if I could show you right now how one would look, you can go ahead, BJ. That's one of the things that we try to do to make sure that the baton pass is as clean as possible. And we like to have the one person that's basically getting ready to grab the baton to kind of like roll out. So he's already actually in a running start, and that's pretty much it.
I mean, talk a little bit about the importance of the communication, the body language that I saw. You've got to make sure that, not only that person knows that you're coming, but that you're in the proper stance to receive that baton. Can you talk a little bit about how you teach that to your students and your athletes?
Right now here, since we don't have a traditional exchange zone, what I'm going to show you is basically how we practice getting used to each other in passing the exchange of body position of where the athletes need to be with the baton passes. So right now, I have Taniqua Hollingsworth. She'll throw her hand back just to measure. Latoya D. Edwards. She will present the pass. So right now, right here, they'll have a proper amount of spacing, and what we call this is a tap drill. So we'll go 3 count, and what happens here is Tanika will throw her hand back 3 times. So 3. All right. Now with this drill, this is a drill that we usually do early in the season to kind of get each of the legs comfortable with receiving the baton, the right body position of how we want everything to be done. We like them to throw their hands back, to throw their arms back and have their palms open, kind of like a thumbs down type scenario. So once they get the baton, it's a clean exchange. There's no wasted motion.
And Coach Lewis spoke a little bit about, the communication that the teammates, they have a certain lingo that they each, respond to.
If we was on a traditional outdoor track with the traditional exchange zones, we usually do what we call a silent exchange. Our whole thing is just to make sure that it's clean and as safe as possible.
I'm joined now by Coach Dustin DeMitt, who's the head cross-country coach and also the coach for distance and jumps. Welcome, Coach. When we were speaking, you talked a little bit about the comparison of Buffalo State College's relay program to other schools. Can you talk a little bit about what we offer our student athletes here and why you think they excel in a program like this?
Yeah, well, coming from another program, I already knew Buffalo State's reputation in the sprints and the relays, and it kind of spoke for itself, but coming here and seeing it and seeing the athletes that we're bringing in and producing All-Americans at the national level every year, this program is one of the best, and the facilities we have here are great, and the coaching staff we put together is shaping up to make this a consistent top program in the country year in and year out.
What do our student athletes walk away with having participated in this program?
Well, I think they walk away with a lot, a great experience as far as the different meets we get to go to, as well as the experiences they get to do, but also just great skills for jobs and later in life as far as time management skills, leadership skills, things that they can take into a job later on, because we're here producing athletes, but we're here producing young men and women too to be successful later in life.
What are you looking for this season as a coach? What would you like to see from your students?
I'm looking for just continued success. Our women just won the indoor SUNYAC championship, so that was a goal of ours to repeat as champions from last year, and we came in not supposed to finishing as high as we did, and the girls really stepped up last week, so we're hoping to carry that into outdoor track and get a couple of relays qualified for nationals and some more individuals. We had 4 girls qualify indoor and 2 guys, so we're hoping that continues and continue to have success at the conference level, because we know with how good our conference is that'll translate to success at the national level as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, here's to getting to know your Bengals. That's it for this feature of Bengal Magazine. I'm Lizzie Lewin. Tom, now back to you.